All right, if you've ever built a website, you know this struggle, the constant battle for speed. So, how do we take a site that feels, well, a little clunky and make it feel lightning fast? Today, we're going to unpack two of the most powerful techniques in any developer's toolkit: code splitting and lazy loading.
We've all been there, right? You click a link, and you're just staring at a blank white screen, waiting and waiting. It feels like an eternity. So what's the deal? What's the secret villain causing this digital traffic jam behind the scenes?
You know, as complex as it seems, the problem often boils down to one simple thing. Your browser is being asked to download one single massive file. Think about it like this. It's like trying to download an entire TV series before you're allowed to watch the first minute of episode 1. That's exactly what's happening. Before you can see anything on the page, the browser has to grab the whole shebang, even the parts you might never, ever click on.
So what's the fix? What if we just stopped sending everything all at once? And that very question leads us right to our first big solution: code splitting. The idea here is actually brilliantly simple. Instead of having one giant delivery truck show up and dump everything on your lawn, imagine getting several smaller, well-organized boxes instead. That's precisely what code splitting does for your website's code. It takes that massive file and breaks it into these smaller pieces, or chunks, that can be loaded on demand.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how does this actually work in practice? Let's take a look at the two most common ways developers pull this off. On one hand, you've got route-based splitting. This is pretty much what it sounds like. The home page gets its own little code bundle, the dashboard gets another, the profile page gets another, and so on. The big win? You only download the code for the page you're actually looking at. Super simple, super effective. But then, on the other hand, there's vendor splitting, and this is really clever. This separates your app's code from all the third-party stuff, libraries like React. And why is that a game changer? Because those libraries almost never change. Your browser can download them once, hang on to them, and on every future visit, they load instantly. That is a huge performance win.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds kind of complicated, right? Well, the good news is that modern web development tools have made this surprisingly easy to do.
The tools that build most modern websites, I'm talking Webpack, Vite, they pretty much handle this for you with a simple little function called a dynamic import. And if you're using a framework like React, it gets even easier. They have built-in features like React.lazy and Suspense that make code splitting almost effortless. So the key thing to remember is this. This isn't some secret expert-level trick anymore. It's a standard feature right at our fingertips.
Now, code splitting is a massive piece of the puzzle, for sure, but it's only half the story. To really take performance to the next level, we need to pair it with our second solution, lazy loading.
So if code splitting is all about breaking up the code, lazy loading is all about the timing. It's basically the art of being lazy on purpose. Instead of loading everything up front, you only load things like images or big components at the very last second, right when the user actually needs to see them. It's like a just-in-time delivery system for your website's content.
And this just shows you what that feels like for a user. So picture this. You land on a long blog post. Step 1. The site only loads the text and images at the very top of the screen. That's it. It feels incredibly fast. Then, step 2, as you start to scroll, the website senses you're about to see new stuff, and only then, at that exact moment, does step 3 kick in, and it fetches the content that was hidden. From the user's perspective, it's seamless. They probably don't even notice it happening, but that initial page load felt instantaneous.
So what's a perfect candidate for lazy loading? Well, basically anything the user doesn't see right away. Think about all those images that are below the fold, the ones you have to scroll to get to. Or what about really heavy components, like an interactive map or a complex data chart? Or even a pop-up confirmation box. None of that needs to slow down that critical first impression.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the how, but let's get to the most important part. Why does any of this actually matter? What's the real-world impact?
The difference is, well, it's dramatic. It's night and day. On the left, you've got a site before these optimizations. That high initial load time because it's trying to download everything at once, but look at the right. After we implement code splitting and lazy loading, the time it takes to see that first bit of content just plummets. We're loading only what's absolutely necessary, and the result is a massive, massive speed boost.
And really, this is what it's all about. A faster website isn't just some technical trophy. It's about respecting the user's time. A snappy, responsive experience leads directly to a happier user, someone who's way more likely to stick around, engage with your content, and come back again.
So, if you walk away with just one thought, let it be this. Modern web performance isn't about trying to shrink one giant file. It's about completely changing the delivery strategy. It's about sending only what's needed exactly when it's needed. That is the incredible one-two punch of code splitting and lazy loading.
So I'll leave you with a little challenge. The next time you're browsing a site, or maybe working on your own project, just ask yourself this one question. What here could be loaded later? What's one image, one component, one feature that could wait just to make that first impression a little bit faster? And I think the answer might just surprise you. Thanks for tuning in.